All right. Good evening, dear friends. What a ridiculous hour of the morning this is. I just got to tell you, I just came back literally just now from an unbelievable Shabbos and Shabbaton, Shabbat in the Heights, with a bunch of members of this group. We had an unbelievable Shabbos. And I had a flight this evening and multiple delays, but we are finally here. And now I'm back with my book. I could do Sefer Mitzvos. We could do we're back at the Daily Mitzvah. So we're doing right now Sunday's Daily Mitzvah. So I know it's already Monday at 3:30 a.m., but you'll have to forgive me. This is for Sunday. So here we go, 3 mitzvahs. And right now we are beginning to get into the details of the various holidays. First, we got the basic overview and the mitzvahs of all the holidays, that there's a mitzvah to commemorate them and not to work on them. But now we're going to go into the specific mitzvahs of every single holiday, of every single Yom Tov. Today we are doing Pesach. And today we have 3 mitzvahs all about Chametz. Chametz means anything that comes from leavened grains, from fermented grains, which that's really what bread is. You take grains, you make a flour, mix it with water, and there is a chemical process, a chemical reaction called fermentation, and that is really where the dough starts rising and taking on different forms, and that is what chametz means. Chametz usually is a wonderful staple of the human diet. Chametz tastes really good. All bakery stuff comes from chametz. Breads come from there. It sustains the human body. It's very important for our diet. But when it comes to Pesach, it's a big no-no. So here we have 3 mitzvahs all about the relationship, or the lack of the relationship, between Pesach and chametz. Mitzvah number 1, there's a positive mitzvah to remove and eliminate and eradicate all chametz from your property and from your ownership, beginning on the 14th of Nisan, which is the day before the Seder, or in Jewish time, that's basically the day of the Seder. The Seder is the beginning of the new day, so the day right before the Seder, or in other words, the day of the Seder, is really the day before. From that day, you need to make sure that there's absolutely no chametz found on your property. This is what the Torah says, "B'yom harishin tashbisu sa'er mivateichem." And on that first day of the holiday, you shall rest from having any leavened bread, leavened stuff in your house. Okay, and the Rambam proves that this is a separate mitzvah from the prohibition. There's a positive commandment as well. So there's both. There's both the mitzvah, the positive mitzvah to remove it, and there's also the negative prohibition that you shall not have any of this chametz in your house, or else you are violating the mitzvah. So it's really 2 separate mitzvahs, and that is mitzvah number 1. Mitzvah number 2, you got to listen in carefully, not to be confused with the previous mitzvah, is that there's a prohibition from eating chametz on Pesach. The previous mitzvah was remove it from your property. This mitzvah is don't eat it. As the Torah says, v'lo ye'achel chametz, and you shall not eat any chametz. All right? Next mitzvah is that it is forbidden not just to eat chametz, which is usually bread or a pastry, but any type of food that has chametz in it, even if it doesn't have the form of bread or pastries or that type of thing. What's an example of this? The classic example is going to be beer. Beer is a drink, but where does beer come from? It comes from grains. It comes from oats. There's different kinds of beers. So even though it doesn't have any look of grainy stuff and bread and gluten, it doesn't have any of that there. But that is chametz because it comes from there. And this is an additional statement, which is an additional mitzvah of the Torah. Kol machmetzes leisechelu, anything that comes from chametz, you shall not eat. And the Rambam brings down from our sages how there was a certain drink that the Babylonians had. There was a certain dip that the Babylonians had. It was a dip, but the dip had chametz in it. And then there is the mead from Media, the Median beer, and the Edomites had vinegar. That was all made out of chametz. All these things you got to be careful of. And the Rambam says the only difference between regular chametz, like a piece of bread, and like beer, which is made out of chametz, is that there's a certain point that if you have enough beer, enough chametz within the beer, or within a dip, or within vinegar, this kind of specific type of vinegar, only if you have a certain amount are you actually liable to get punished for it. But that's a pretty high threshold. But even if you don't have enough of the chametz in this form, non-bread chametz, non-pastry chametz, even if you don't have enough of that to get punished, but it's still prohibited. And dear friends, that is today's Daily Mitzvah. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful morning. We'll see you all soon for our next Daily Mitzvah. God bless you and sei gesund.